Everybody. We're going to give another minute for people to join us. Welcome to Tool Time Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. It's already the middle of April. I can't believe that. Get started in just another couple seconds since it is 12 o'clock. Welcome everyone that's joined us. Hope everyone's doing well today.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I will go ahead and get started. Some more may join us, but we don't want to lose time since we only have 30 fast minutes and Nancy has lots of great stuff to talk about. So welcome everyone. My name is Andrea Young. I'm an ECAC parent educator and communications lead. And I am happy to be joined today by Nancy Giurato, who is also a parent educator at ECAC and the DeafBlind Family Engagement Coordinator. And today, Nancy's going to be talking about steps to success, effective parent advocacy, which is so very important to let our voices be heard. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it right over to Nancy. And Nancy, it's all yours.
Thank you, Andrea, and good afternoon, everybody who is joining today to hear me a little bit talking about advocacy and how to be effective parent advocates, especially when we are dealing with education systems. So let me jump in and start my presentation for today. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, my title for today is What are the steps to be effective parent advocate? Our learning objectives for today is to understand what is parent advocacy, especially when considering our child's education, to identify the importance of building relationships, and identify how we can successfully prepare and participate in meetings. And I'm going to hopefully be able to interact with you all who are here today to hear me. And my first question is, what does advocacy mean to you? And if you have your cell phone handy, I will ask you to use your cell phone and scan the QR code. That will take you to Mentimeter, which is an app that we're going to use and be able to see our results live. So if you'll have a minute to get your cell phones ready and scan the QR code, that will be amazing. And in the meantime, while you're getting ready, I can tell you about myself. So for me, advocacy means partnership. It means collaboration between parents and IP teams or school teams working together as a team to meet our child's needs, our child's educational needs, especially in when we're talking about in the education setting. So that's what it means to me, and I want to hear what it means to you. And I'm gonna switch to the Menti app and see if we have any responses. I'm gonna stop here for a minute.
Nancy, I just wanted to mention that when you brought up your presentation, we could see the notes too. I don't know if you want to switch that back when we go back to that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I will do that. Okay. Share. It's. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So I put my first answer as partnership. So I'm waiting to hear what you guys think. What is advocacy in one word? If we can define advocacy, collaboration, yes. Anybody else? I'll give you a minute or so. Communication, yes, that's one of the topics we are going to discuss today. how to be effective communicators with our team. Super mom. Oh, I love this one. Superhero. Yes, definitely. Yes. Knowledge. Yes. Knowledge is power. Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much for all those who are responding and playing with me and the Mentimeter. So I'm going to stop here so we can keep moving with our presentation. Oh, there's one more, empowerment. I love this one. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and thank you so much for participating. And let's go back to our presentation today. Let's see if I can put into our presentation. Okay. So is that good, Andrea? Andrea, can you see the entire presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I'm moving too fast. So let's just here have a little bit of reflection. When children have disabilities, we know our children the best. And that's why our voice is very important. And since I'm talking about voice, let's play again with the Mentimeter. And I promise this is the last time on this presentation. What does your voice matter? Why do you think your voice is important? And I have 4 options for you to choose. And let me go really quick again to the Mentimeter. Let's go over here. Okay, to hold on. I need to stop. Okay, sorry, it's taking me just a minute. Can you all see my screen? Andre, can you see my screen? Andre, can you see my screen? Oh, no, I see on the chat. No. Okay, let me try this again. Right. Oh, yay! Amazing. Oh, thank you so much for answering the question for those who were able to get it. So let's just give it a few more seconds. I have here 4 options for you. So why is important our voice? Because we parents are active participants of the IEP, because we know our children the best, or because we are there for them for the long term, or because parents are best voice for the child. And as you can see, most people agree with all of the statements, and I do too. All of these are some of the reasons why our voice is so important and why we should be effective advocates. And thank you so much again for participating in this little bit of interactive piece of the presentation. And I'm going to switch back to the presentation and continue. So let's beat. Okay. Can you all see my presentation? Yes. Yes?
Nancy, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you now, Andrea.
Great.
All right. All right, so let's talk about why do we need to be effective advocates? Because we are active partners in our child's education, because we want to identify problems and propose solutions. That's how we know that we are effective. And one more, the other way that we can know we are being effective advocates is when we work to ensure our child's education needs are met. And I know that you all agree with me, as I saw the responses. When you're super moms or superheroes, we are there for our child all the way in. Let's go to the next slide. I'm having a little trouble moving. Okay. All right, so let's continue. So one very important piece of the puzzle is to organize the information. And very important is that there is an organization system that works best for you. What works best for you might not be what works best for me, but we have to identify what works best and then share with our team. So, for instance, for me, I identify that electronic records is what works best for me. So, I have on my computer a file with my child's IPs per year, all different documentation, evaluations, assessments I have had on that given year. And for communication, I have let my team know that my preference is to communicate via email. So whenever I get text messages or phone calls, I remind them that please send me an email so I can keep track. So it works for me. That's how I remember what I'm expecting or what I'm asking or what I'm waiting for. And that keeps the communication flowing because, as you all know, there are several members on an IEP team. And so keeping all of us on the same page can be a little bit complex at times. So I have on my email folder as well where I keep a track of all communications with my IEP team. So that's what works for me. And I will invite you to think what works best for you. Second piece of the puzzle is to know your system, to know how at the school level, the principal, teachers, administrators, how do they communicate with parents? Some school districts like to communicate sometimes using apps, using emails, or using different methods. Some are more traditional like paper. So figure out how do they communicate and then let them know what works for you if you prefer one way or the other. And sometimes, many times, they are able to accommodate. Also, it's important to know that not all issues that your child may have are only related to special education. Sometimes there are other issues that it's convenient for you to learn what is the student handbook say, what is the school code of conduct of that particular school it's attending, what is their bullying policy, um, what is their grade level curriculum, what is the classroom expectations for the teacher. And moving into a larger scheme, it's important to know about the district. What is the district website? Where can you find parent resources within the website? What are the key administrators that you may need to contact and what is their contact information? What are the core state standards and what are graduation requirements? And finally, it's also very important to look at the state website. Every state has a Department of Education. In North Carolina, we have the Department of Public Instruction. And within the website, there is a section for parents and resources for parents. So it's important that you take a look. There are many people that are there also to consult with parents when a parent has a question. And of course, please call us and ask us for information or resources when you are stuck and you need some help. So, how do we become an expert in our child's journey with the education system? And as I know, everyone here knows about their child's disability. And I know that my child, for instance, has autism and his disabilities look different than another parent that might have a child with autism. So we need to learn how the disability of our child is affecting their learning and participation in school. And that sometimes that connection is what is the key to be able to be effective advocates and to identify what are those specific factors that are affecting their learning and participation in school, and also be able to learn how to describe our child's strengths and needs is also important, as not everything is a challenge, but at school every child has their own set of strengths, so be able to use those to their advantage is also a very piece of being a good effective advocate. And so, with that being said, we have a very useful resource at ACAC that's called Painting the Big Picture. The name says is talking about the big picture. Who is our child? From what are their strengths in the educational system? what is the challenge, what are the challenges that he or she may have, and that all related to the educational system, how those challenges need to be addressed by the IEP team. So that's important to keep that in mind when talking at an IEP meeting. And finally, what are the dreams and visions? What do I want for my, or what do I think my child should do? Should they graduate, go to college, not go to college, work? What is my child dreams and visions? So it's important to have that discussion as you move through your educational journey with your child. And an important piece, as we were talking, being effective parent advocates, is build positive relationships. Building positive relationships starts with us as parents going to team meetings, assuming that the people at the meeting have the best intentions for our child, but also keeping in mind and knowing exactly what the needs of our child are in case that those needs are not seen through their lenses the same way that we see them. And remembering that teachers are part of the team too. So be able to have a positive and healthy relationship with the teacher can get you long. Establish an ongoing communication, keep on checking on progress. Don't wait to the next one, from one IEP meeting to the next IEP meeting to check on how is your child progressing on their goals or meeting their goals. It's good to keep a communication, whether you have established what works for you and the teacher, whether it's via email or having a phone call or a checking, but have that communication ongoing in between IEP meetings and getting involved in ways that work for you. Like if you are receiving as a related service, for instance, parent training and counseling, let the team what works for you. If you like to meet with them, on what times, what days, or if you prefer to have a virtual meeting where you receive this training. So it's important that you communicate what works for you so the team can build on that or accommodate as they can. And now we're going to switch a little bit into the students with disabilities. So students with disabilities can be served under two federal laws. That's the Section 504 Federal Civil Rights Law, or IDEA, the Federal Special Education Law. And I'm going to talk based on those briefly, since we have webinars that are dedicated specifically to talk about the special education law and Section 504. So IDEA is the Federal Education Law for the Individuals with Disability, and it's called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004. And the most important piece about this federal education law is FAPE. What is FAPE? FAPE is the free, appropriate public education. So it says that every student with disabilities has a right to a free, appropriate public education. And within that terminology, there are many ways how it's interpreted by different school districts locally or by states. So that's where in these gray areas is where we as parents come to advocate. This is what I think the free appropriate public education means for my child. It might not mean exactly the same for a different child. And the second one is the 504 Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Section 504. So it says that all children with disabilities or that have a suspected disability cannot be excluded from participation, neither denied the benefit of any program or activity receiving federal assistance. Basically says that every educational organization that receives federal assistance should follow the Section 504. So here is a diagram that can help us identify better. So that Section 504 protects all students with disabilities. And within that are two subgroups: the students that need special education with an IEP and the students that need with disabilities that need supports and accommodations that are documented through a 504 plan. So, and because of that students with needs for special education in the IEP, you can also include the accommodations and supports. So a student with IEPs do not need a separate 504 plan. But students with 504 plans are the students identified not needing a special education. So that's kind of like, on a nutshell, the difference between students with disabilities that require a 504 plan and students with disabilities that require accommodations and supports and special education via an IEP. And since I'm talking a little bit about special education and parents being effective advocates, one very important piece is to learn the terminology, to learn the technical terms, to learn what it means. What ALARI means, for instance, is the least restrictive environment. What FAPE means, that we briefly have discussed, the free appropriate public education, what it means. What's an IEP, what's IDEA, which is the special education law that we just touched base very briefly. What is a 504 plan? What's the present level? What is the performance? What is the progress monitoring? What's MTSS? And there are so many terms, and I know they may be a lot at first, but as you go through the journey and you use them a lot, you start getting to be more comfortable. And so this is my big one. What is your emotion when you go to an IEP meeting? And if you have a second to put it in the chat and share with all of us, that would be great. What's your biggest emotion? So for me, and no matter how much I feel I am prepared and I have sent ahead of time my agenda and the concerns I have, there is always this piece where you and your husband or partner are there, and then there is 7-10 people, the administrators that are all well versed in the special education. So there is always a little bit of this anxiety. Is there something that might go wrong? But I always try to be as prepared as I can, and that gives me a lot of ground on my feet. I feel pretty good usually. And I always go with the most the best disposition as I can have, because I know I'm trying to build positive relationships with my team. Andrew, do we have anybody on the chat saying what is their biggest emotion when they go to a meeting?
Yes, there are a couple of different faces up there. Some people wrote in overwhelming, fear, growth.
Growth, I like that one. Yes, and that is true. With every IEP meeting, you learn something. Definitely, you get to know more how the system works, how your IEP work, a team thinks, or how they work, what things you need to emphasize for to have a next action steps. It is very true. All right, let's move to the next one. Thank you so much for participating. So let me move this a little bit here. Okay. So before the meeting, what are the important things to remind ourselves? And this is, I think, very important. I always do it, and it really works if we are prepared. What are the key issues right now? So we know that our children may have a list of things we want to address. And when that's the case, using a priority list, what is the most pressing issues that our children have right now may be helpful to start discussion, our most energy used for that. What do you want your child to achieve if you're not seeing much progress being made, or the goals are too low for your child? How do you want to discuss improving or making those goals really up to the needs of your child? What might be helpful for your child to be successful. Maybe there is a need for an additional support, or maybe there is through your preparation you have found out that your child is lacking in this area or not receiving X, Y, or Z. So bring that to the table and make your list. This is my priority. This is what I want to address with the IEP team today. And maybe my 3 other items I can address it next time, or have in mind, okay, I want to address these 3 things, but I also want to put a date to address these X, Y, and Z things with the IEP team. So sometimes that's very helpful to have on the books a next follow-up IEP meeting. And a good one, that very important one, is what's your vision for your child's future? Not every child has the same goal of ending with a high school diploma, and that all depends on many factors. So what is your vision for your child's future today? That might change tomorrow, and the next ip meeting that vision may be different. Maybe you see some progress that was not expected and now your vision changed. So keep that question ongoing in the back of your head, and that I bring it up when this ip meeting, it's very helpful. The next slide is so I was talking a little bit. It's very useful to create a meeting agenda and have it ahead of time submitted to your IEP team. It brings your active participation to their attention, that there are items that you want to discuss. Sometimes we find the IEP teams are ready to discuss A, B, and C, but they're not. When you mention, I have this concern, or we are not prepared, or we didn't know you wanted, and we need to bring this other therapist, so we need to bring this other person. So having those concerns submitted ahead of time, it's a way of saying this is my concern, and I hope that you'll have the people that it's necessary to discuss this concern of mine at the IP meeting. And if not, you can, like I mentioned, you can have a date where the IP team will convene again to discuss that particular concern that you have. And having a meeting agenda also keeps you having a track. You know, as you all know, IP meetings can be lengthy, can be 1+ hours. I had one that was 6 hours. So having your list of priorities, these are my 3 items that I must have some action steps from the IP team, gives you, okay, bringing back. Did we discuss my concern? Did you just brush it off? Well, bring it back. So that's very important. Choose your priorities, include the ideas, and propose solutions, and consider your input before the meeting. As I mentioned, it is helpful, and I suggest you trying or keep doing it if you're already doing it. The other thing that we talked very briefly is prepare for the IP meeting. Make sure that you respond to the invitation, that you request the data and the draft IP ahead of time, so you are as close to on the same page as the team is. Identify the priorities again and provide possible solutions, and be aware of the limits to your rights and participation in making decisions. And again, trying to finish on time. Our goals for participation are to express our honest feelings, promote mutual respect, make sure that we understand that respect is the base for a good communication and effective advocacy, allow both for discussion and disagreement, and come up with creative solutions. Questions can be powerful tools, especially when we are talking about technical language in the educational system. Asking clarifying questions can save you 20 minutes of a discussion or a disagreement. There are certain roadblocks to effective collaboration. It's sometimes we have all the children, we have to divide ourselves. we are not feeling welcome by the team, we are not knowing how to contribute, means that we don't know where our child is making progress on the IEP, and that's why organize our information and knowing what was the progress from the last IEP to this today. What is what I expect to see is very important. Sometimes we don't have an educational background on what is going on. We don't understand the system, and we talk about trying to learn as much as we can before a meeting how the system works, or sometimes we need to bring our other children to the meeting since we might not have available childcare or transportation. Like people who have English as a second language, language can be a barrier to understanding with the rest of your team. So these are all factors that we know are affecting um, our effective advocacy. And however, there are areas of agreement that we can always come to. So, for instance, we can ask for a trial period if the team is not convinced that you have a good valid point, but at least ask them to try your idea before it's implemented on the IEP. Sometimes it can get you far, as well as parents. We can also agree to try the school's idea for a specific time. Let's say, let's try these for 30 days or certain number of weeks, and then let's reconvene again to analyze progress. And last thing, keep the communication going after the IEP meeting. Please remember to thank everyone for their time. Even if you didn't have a very good, productive meeting, everyone was there trying to do what we think, we assume, their best. Build positive relationships and monitor your child's progress. It's a must. And this is my last slide. Ask questions if you have any questions, or call us, since we might not have much time today. But thank you so much for your attention.
So much, Nancy. We are at time, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put those in the comments. And while we wait on that, I'm going to launch a survey. If you don't mind completing that, the grants that we work on require that we report back to them what we're doing is useful, relevant, and high quality. And we really appreciate your feedback. So just take a few minutes to do that. And if anyone has questions, again, please put those in the comments, or you can unmute yourself as well. Thank you. Someone says they have their first IEP meeting coming up soon. Someone says, please show again the slide prior to the last slide.
This one?
If that is the one that say that is wanting to see, we will be sending out this PowerPoint after to everyone that attended, so you will get this information sent to you.
Yes, definitely. And I'm sorry I had to run towards the end to make sure we end on time. So you can have it. And, if you have any additional questions, just call us. We can assist you individually with your particular case or concerns you have.
Any questions? I don't see any coming through. So I just want to thank everyone for attending this Tool Time Tuesday. I hope you join us next Tuesday. We will be having Joanna Lynch, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction Office of Exceptional Children's parent liaison with us. She will be sharing how she assists families and public school units, and also important resources from the Office of Exceptional Children. So that will be a really good one to attend, and to meet Joanna and to learn more about her role. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to end the poll. Everyone has a good rest of their Tuesday, and thanks again for joining us. And thank you, Nancy. It was very informative, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you, everybody. See you next time.